The explanation for the title of this video is very easy. Most women are hypergamous, even by their own admission, and they will naturally search out a partner who is more successful, i.e. wealthier than themselves, because he's far more able to take care of the mother and children and himself, and this gives the woman the opportunity to stay at home and look after the children rather than having to go out to work. Now, I'm not one of those MGTOWs that criticises women for being hypergamous, because, as I say, this is natural. It's perfectly natural, and I wouldn't blame women for a moment for that, much as I love blaming them for all sorts of other things. But anyway, the overwhelming majority of women want children, and if they're given the choice, they'd prefer to stay at home and look after their children. It's not in the nature of a woman to want to rush back into the workplace the second the umbilical cord has been cut, which is what the feminazi media would have you believe. And these surveys of mothers suggesting that the majority of them would like more affordable childcare, they're very deceptive, because they rarely, if ever, ask women if they would prefer to stay at home with their child if given the opportunity as a preference. There was a Department of Employment survey on this subject here in the UK, and okay, it was about 20 years ago, and things may have slightly changed since then, but I don't think much, because as I'm talking about evolution and Mother Nature, I don't think you can stand millions of years of Mother Nature on its head and claim that women suddenly crave the hamster's wheel and the treadmill of the workplace rather than stay at home after giving birth. And the results showed that 95% of women would prefer to stay at home after having their first child if they had that economic option. And I think it may have suggested that they want to stay at home for the first 5 years of their child's life, first 5 formative years. I can remember working out at the time, using statistics, that most women wanted to have 2 children, and that this would keep them out of the workplace on average, if they had the choice, that is, for 8 years, which partially accounts for the equal pay gap myth that the lying feminazi media are always prattling on about. And a feminist member of Parliament, whose name I forget, actually whined in the House of Commons that, as she put it, she'd heard of this survey, only 1 in 20 women wanted to work. That's how she put it. And firstly, that's not correct, because a lot of women do enjoy their careers for a while, but this is temporary compared to men, and it only lasts until they have children, and then their whole perspective on life changes. And also, again, this woman in Parliament, it's yet another example of feminists assuming that all other women are like themselves and should want and do what they want. So feminists just trying to shove men aside and become the new men, really. It's men's natural role to be provider and protector, and men have been shoved aside by feminists in this respect. Feminists are now in persuading women to go out into the workplace and getting them all sorts of managerial courses and help. They've replaced men in that sense, and whilst portraying men as being domestically violent all the time, they're giving the impression that they're the protectors of women as well. And feminists have done this. They've achieved that's very, very successfully indeed, because men have been too stupid to fight back. Anyway, here's why successful single childless career women are destined for failure. So, ladies, imagine your gene pool as being in relation to your amount of economic success in the workplace. Imagine it's like a pyramid, and you start off at the base on the first rung of your career. Now, imagine a perpendicular line from the apex of the pyramid to the base where you currently are. Like the man around you, you want to get as close to the top as you can. And as you ascend this line towards the top, your gene pool is to your side, where you're working with guys who are your economic equivalent. And it is above you, where the guys that are the really successful guys that your hypergamous little selves would far prefer to date and marry, because these are the guys you're looking for. And it doesn't take a prize genius to work out that your gene pool shrinks and dwindles the more successful you become. If I change that analogy from a geometrical one to a geographical one, it's rather like climbing a mountain for you ladies. The higher you get, the more rarefied the oxygen that is your gene pool becomes. For men, though, on the other hand, their gene pool, like yours, is to the side, but it's also beneath them. So the more successful they become, the higher up this pyramid, mountain, whatever they get, the more women they have to choose from below, which is one reason why so many men are so ambitious and more likely to be successful. And there are far more hot, slim waitresses, factory girls and shop worker girlies than there are successful career women. A very well paid executive guy comes into work one morning and he tells everyone that he thinks he might have met the one. That's if he's dumb enough to want to get married and have children. And the girl of his choice is a waitress. No one's going to bat an eyelid. On the other hand, women, if you're a high-flying executive, you may be sexually attracted to a waiter, but you sure as hell don't see him as a potential mate and partner. So, you see, career women, you are in competition with far, far more women than successful men around you are in terms of their available gene pool. In fact, most of you are going to end up drowning in your own pool of success. Starved of the oxygen of life and then drowned. And as long as the man-hating media continues to lie about domestic violence, rape, equal pay, etc., then frankly, my dears, I don't give a fuck.